Tae-Yang wiped the grease from his hands and stared at the massive transport ship in front of him. The thing was huge, easily 50 times larger than any vessel he had worked on before. Its hull gleamed with strange bioorganic panels that pulsed with faint blue light. He had no idea how to fix it. "You are the human mechanic?" a tall alien asked. The creature had 4 arms and skin, like polished stone. Its voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "I fix things, yeah," Tae-Yang said. He ran a hand through his black hair and squinted at the ship. "But I've never seen tech like this before. The Empress's vessel has failed. Our best engineers cannot repair it. You are our final option." The alien did not sound happy about this fact. Tae-Yang had heard about the Empress. Everyone on Kepler 442 station knew she was here. The ruler of the Kryn Empire, one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. Her ship breaking down here was both an honor and a problem. If it stayed broken, there would be trouble. "Let me take a look," Tae-Yang said. He climbed into the ship's engine room. The space was filled with organic tubes and crystalline structures that hummed with energy. Everything was connected in ways that made no sense to him. He touched one of the tubes and felt it pulse like a heartbeat. This was living technology. Grown rather than built. For 3 hours, Tae-Yang studied the system. He traced every connection and watched how energy flowed through the biotech components. Slowly, he began to understand the problem. One of the main organic processors was dying. It could not be replaced because the ship's systems were all linked to it. Any change would cause a cascade failure. The Kryn engineers had tried to heal the processor. They had tried to grow a new one. Nothing worked. The ship was dying along with its core component. Tae-Yang sat back and thought. This was exactly like the problem he had solved last month with the water recycler. Everyone had said it needed replacement, but he had found another way. Sometimes the best solution was not to fix what was broken, but to work around it. He pulled out his tools. Simple mechanical tools, nothing fancy. Then he started building a bypass system. He used basic electrical components and simple motors. While the organic processor slowly died, he created a mechanical heart to take over its functions. The two systems would work together until the biotech finally failed, and then his mechanical system would carry the load alone. It took 6 more hours. The Kryn engineers watched him work with expressions that might have been confusion or disgust. They clearly thought his approach was primitive. But when he finished and activated the system, the ship hummed back to life. "Impossible," one engineer whispered. The 4-armed alien from before approached. "The Empress wishes to see you." Tae-Yang had not expected that. He followed the alien through corridors that seemed to breathe. They brought him to a large chamber, where a woman sat on a floating throne. She was Kryn, with pale silver skin and eyes that seemed to hold galaxies. Beside her throne sat a massive white leopard with pink eyes. The animal watched Tae-Yang with disturbing intelligence. "You fixed my ship," the Empress said. Her voice was soft, but carried absolute authority. "Yes, ma'am. It should get you wherever you need to go. My engineers said it was beyond repair. They are the finest minds in the Empire." She leaned forward slightly. "Yet you, a human with simple tools, solved the problem in hours. How?" Tae-Yang shrugged. "Sometimes, the fancy solution doesn't work. Sometimes, you need to try something basic." The Empress smiled. It was a strange smile, like she had discovered something valuable. "What is your name?" Tae-Yang. "Tae-Yang," she repeated. "You have my gratitude. This is not a small thing in Kryn culture." "Just doing my job," he said. The white leopard made a sound, almost like a purr. The Empress placed her hand on its head. "Beiko agrees. You are interesting, human." "Beiko agrees." That was the end of the meeting. Tae-Yang returned to his small repair shop in the lower levels of the station. He thought about the Empress for a while, then forgot about it. He had other work to do. 3 days later, his life changed forever. The four-armed alien appeared at his shop again, but this time it wore black robes. Behind it stood a dozen Kryn officials, all looking grave. "The Empress is dead," the alien announced. Taeyang felt shock hit him. "What? How?" "Assassination. Poison. She died in the night." The alien stepped closer. "She left a final decree. You must come with us." They brought him to a government building on the station. The room was filled with Kryn officials and strange ceremonial objects. On a platform in the center sat the white leopard from before. Baekho. The animal stared at Taeyang with those unsettling pink eyes. "The Empress left specific instructions," a Kryn official said. "She was old, with deep lines in her silver skin. She named you, Taeyang, as guardian of her most precious possession. Baekho is now yours." "What?" Taeyang looked from the leopard to the officials. "Why would she do that?" "I barely met her. In Kryn culture, when someone saves your life, a sacred debt is created. By repairing her ship, you saved the Empress. She could not let this debt go unpaid. Baekho was her bonded companion. He represents her final gift to you." Taeyang stared at the massive leopard. The animal was beautiful but dangerous. Its muscles moved under white fur like coiled springs. "I don't understand. I can't take care of something like this. I live in a repair shop." "You must," the official said firmly. "To refuse would insult the Empress's memory and dishonor the Kryn people. Do you understand?" He did not understand. Not really. But he could see they were serious. Taeyang walked slowly toward Baekho. The leopard watched him approach without moving. When Taeyang reached out his hand, Baekho sniffed it, then pressed his massive head against Taeyang's palm. "Okay," Taeyang said quietly. "I'll take care of him." The officials looked relieved, but also worried. They exchanged glances that Taeyang could not interpret. Something else was happening here. Something they were not telling him. As he left the building with Baekho walking beside him, Taeyang felt the weight of many eyes watching. Word was spreading fast. The human mechanic now possessed the Empress's leopard. He did not know yet what that truly meant. He would learn soon enough. Back at his shop, his apprentice Jiwoo was waiting. She was young, only 22, with bright eyes and quick hands. When she saw the leopard, her jaw dropped. "Is that Baekho?" Taeyang confirmed. "I inherited him." Long story. Jiwoo circled the leopard carefully. Baekho watched her, but seemed calm. "Do you know what this means?" she asked. "That I now own a very large cat?" "No," Jiwoo said slowly. "I've been reading about Kryn culture. Their Empress's bonded companion is not just a pet. It's a symbol. Whoever holds Baekho has the Empress's blessing." She looked at Taeyang with wide eyes. "You just became the most important person in their entire succession crisis." Taeyang felt his stomach drop. "Their what?" The first visitor arrived before sunrise. Taeyang woke to pounding on his shop door. Baekho was already awake, sitting near the entrance, with his ears flat against his head. The leopard made a low sound in his throat that was definitely a warning. "I'm coming," Taeyang called. He pulled on a shirt and opened the door. A Kryn general stood outside, armor gleaming in the station's artificial dawn light. Behind him were 20 soldiers, all carrying weapons. The general's face was hard as stone. "I am General Thex Nor. You will give me the leopard." "Good morning to you too," Taeyang said. He was too tired for this. "The leopard was given to me. I'm keeping him. You do not understand the situation, human. Baekho represents the imperial succession. I am the rightful heir to the Empress. The leopard should be with me." The general's hand moved to his weapon. "Give him to me now," Baekho growled. It was a deep, rumbling sound that made the soldiers step back. The leopard was huge, easily 300 pounds of muscle and claws. His pink eyes fixed on the general with clear threat. "Looks like he doesn't want to go with you," Taeyang said. General Thex Nor's face darkened. "This is not over." He turned, and marched away, his soldiers following. Taeyang closed the door and leaned against it. "This is going to be a problem," he told Baeko. The leopard made a sound that might have been agreement. By midday, 3 more groups had visited. First came Lady Sylveth, the Empress's niece. With gifts and honeyed words, she spoke about bloodlines and family duty. Baeko had simply walked away from her and laid down in the corner. She had left angry. Then came Chancellor Vornak, a political leader who talked about modernizing the empire and bringing change. He had been polite, respectful even, but Baeko had watched him with suspicious eyes and would not approach. The third visitor was an ambassador from a faction Taeyang had never heard of. The man had offered money, a lot of money. Taeyang had refused. The ambassador had made veiled threats before leaving. Jiwoo arrived in the afternoon with food and news. "It's all over the station," she said, setting down containers of noodles. "Everyone knows about Baeko. The Kryn Council is meeting right now to decide what to do." "What can they do?" Taeyang asked. "The Empress gave him to me." "That's the problem," Jiwoo said. She pulled out her tablet and showed him articles and news feeds. In Kryn culture, the Empress's companion is sacred. Whoever Baeko accepts is seen as having the Empress's approval. Right now, you're accidentally the most powerful person in their empire because you control who Baeko goes to. Taeyang looked at the leopard. Baeko was eating from a bowl of meat that Taeyang had bought. The animal ate delicately, with more manners than most people Taeyang knew. "I don't want to control anything," Taeyang said. "I just want to fix ships and live my life." "Too late for that," Jiwoo said gently. "The Kryn have 3 main factions fighting for succession. Each one thinks they should rule. Each one wants Baeko's approval. And Baeko is sitting in your shop eating lunch." Over the next week, the situation got worse. More visitors came, offering everything from wealth to threats. Taeyang refused them all. He could not give away Baeko, even if he wanted to. The leopard had bonded with him somehow. When Taeyang worked on ships, Baeko laid nearby and watched. When Taeyang slept, Baeko guarded the door. The animal had chosen him, just as the Empress had intended. Jiwoo spent her free time researching Kryn history. She discovered something important. "There's an ancient ritual," she told Taeyang one evening. "When succession is disputed, the royal companion chooses. All the claimants present themselves, and the companion selects the worthy one." "So, Baeko is supposed to pick the next ruler?" "Yes, and the Kryn Council is going to demand you bring him to their homeworld for the ceremony. They announced it this morning." Taeyang rubbed his face. This was spiraling out of control. "If I refuse? You insult the entire empire. They might declare war on humanity over it, or at least make things very difficult for humans in their space." Jiwoo looked worried. "If you go, you might get killed. There are people who would rather eliminate you than let you influence the succession." "Great options," Taeyang muttered. He spent that night thinking. He had never asked for this. All he had done was fix a ship. But now, he was trapped in alien politics with no way out. He looked at Baeko, who was sleeping peacefully in the corner. The leopard trusted him. That meant something. By morning, Taeyang had made his decision. He sent a message to the Kryn Council. He would bring Baeko to their homeworld for the ritual, but he demanded safe passage, neutral status, and protection as the keeper of Baeko. He was not choosing sides. He was just there to let Baeko make the choice. The council agreed immediately. They sent a diplomatic ship to collect him within 2 days. Jiwoo insisted on coming with him. "You need someone to watch your back," she said. "And I've been studying their culture. I can help you avoid mistakes." "This isn't your problem," Taeyang told her. "Yes, it is. You're my teacher and my friend. Besides, this is bigger than you now. If you handle this wrong, it could start a civil war. Millions could die." She met his eyes firmly. You need help. She was right. Taeyang agreed. The night before they left, something happened. Taeyang was closing up the shop when he heard movement. 3 figures in dark clothes dropped from the ceiling vents. They moved fast, with weapons drawn. Assassins. Taeyang barely had time to shout before they attacked. One rushed him with a blade that glowed with energy. He dodged, but the blade cut across his arm. Pain flared hot and bright. Then Baekho moved. The leopard was faster than anything Taeyang had ever seen. One moment he was across the room. The next, he was on the first assassin. There was a brief struggle, a scream, and the assassin went down. The other 2 turned to face Baekho, but the leopard was already moving again. He moved like liquid lightning, all grace and deadly power. In less than a minute, all 3 assassins were down. Baekho stood over them, blood on his white fur, pink eyes blazing. He was not even breathing hard. Taeyang clutched his bleeding arm and stared. What are you? Ji-woo ran in, drawn by the noise. She saw the scene and immediately locked the door. We need to leave now. If someone sent assassins, they'll send more. They contacted station security and the Kryn diplomats. The assassins were arrested. An investigation was started. But the message was clear. Someone wanted Taeyang dead before he reached the homeworld. That night, as a medical drone sealed his wound, Taeyang sat with Baekho. The leopard had cleaned himself and now looked peaceful again. But Taeyang had seen what he truly was. This was not just an animal. Baekho was enhanced, genetically altered to be faster and stronger than any natural creature. The Empress knew. Taeyang said quietly. She knew what would happen. She knew people would come for you. He looked into those strange pink eyes. She gave you to someone who would protect you, not use you. Baekho pressed his head against Taeyang's hand. It was a gesture of trust. All right, Taeyang said. Let's go to their homeworld. Let's see who you think should rule. Ji-woo stood in the doorway. This is going to be dangerous. I know, Taeyang said. But running won't help. We need to finish this. The next morning, they boarded the diplomatic ship with Baekho. As the station grew smaller behind them, Taeyang wondered if he would ever see his shop again. He was just a mechanic. He fixed things. But somehow, he had become the key to an empire's future. He just hoped he could survive it. The Kryn homeworld was beautiful and terrifying. Taeyang pressed his face against the ship's viewing port and stared at the planet below. Massive crystal cities rose from silver forests. 3 moons hung in a purple sky. Everything gleamed with advanced technology and ancient tradition mixed together. Kryn Prime, Ji-woo said beside him. She was reading from her tablet. Population, 40 billion. Capital of an empire spanning 200 systems. And we're about to land right in the middle of their succession crisis. No pressure. Taeyang muttered. Baekho sat calmly on the floor, watching the planet with those intelligent pink eyes. The leopard had been quiet during the journey, as if he understood what was coming. They landed at the Imperial Palace. The structure was enormous, built from living crystal that pulsed with soft light. Thousands of Kryn had gathered to watch their arrival. The crowd was silent, watching with intense focus as Taeyang walked down the ramp, with Baekho beside him and Ji-woo behind him. A human woman waited at the bottom. She was older, maybe 50, with gray hair and sharp eyes. She wore formal diplomatic clothes. I'm Ambassador Hae-won, she said in Korean. I represent human interests in Kryn space. Welcome to the most dangerous place in the galaxy right now. Good to meet you too, Taeyang said. Hae-won walked with them toward the palace. She spoke quietly. Listen carefully. 3 main factions are competing for the throne. General Thex Nor commands the military. He believes in Kryn supremacy and traditional conquest. Lady Sylveth is the Empress's niece. She claims blood right and wants to preserve old ways. Chancellor Vornak leads the reformist faction. He wants to modernize the empire and improve relations with other species. Which one should win? Taeyang asked. That's not for me to say. That's for Beiko to decide. Haewon glanced at the leopard. But be careful. All three factions have extremists who would rather kill you than let you influence the outcome. They entered the palace. The halls were filled with Kryn nobles, officials, and guards. Everyone stopped to stare at Beiko. The leopard walked calmly, unbothered by the attention. The ritual was scheduled for the next day. That night, Taeyang could not sleep. He sat in his assigned room, watching Beiko sleep. The leopard looked peaceful, but Taeyang knew the deadly power hidden in that body. What did she see in me? He asked the sleeping animal. I'm just a mechanic. In the morning, they were led to the throne room. The space was vast, with crystal pillars reaching up into shadows. Thousands of Kryn filled the room, representing every faction and interest group in the empire. At the center stood a raised platform with the empty imperial throne. The three claimants waited beside the throne. General Thex, Nor, in full military armor. Lady Sylveth, in traditional royal robes. Chancellor Vornak, in simple, formal dress. Each one watched Taeyang and Beiko with different expressions. Hunger, determination, hope. An old Kryn official stepped forward. Her voice echoed through the chamber. We gather for the ancient ritual of succession. Beiko, companion of our late Empress, will choose the worthy ruler. Let the claimants present themselves. General Thex Nor went first. He strode to the center of the platform, every movement radiating power and confidence. He did not speak to Beiko. He simply stood there, expecting the leopard to come to him. Taeyang released Beiko's leash. The leopard walked slowly toward the general. The room held its breath. Thex Nor reached out to touch Beiko's head, a gesture of claiming, but Beiko's ears flattened. A low growl rumbled in his throat. The general's hand froze. He tried again, more forcefully. Beiko's growl became louder. The leopard's lips pulled back, showing teeth. Thex Nor's face darkened with anger. He grabbed for Beiko, trying to force dominance. The leopard moved like lightning. He did not attack, but he dodged away and turned his back on the general. The message was clear. Rejection. Murmurs filled the throne room. General Thex Nor stood there, humiliated. His hand moved toward his weapon, but other officials quickly stepped between him and the leopard. He was forced to leave the platform. Lady Sylveth went next. She approached slowly, holding treats that Kryn animals supposedly loved. She spoke in their formal language about bloodlines and tradition, about how she carried the Empress's blood and should rightfully inherit the throne. Beiko sniffed the treats but did not take them. He sat down and simply looked at her. His expression, if a leopard could have one, seemed bored. Lady Sylveth continued talking, becoming more desperate. She spoke of duty and family. She reminded everyone that she was the Empress's only living relative. Beiko yawned. Then he turned and walked away from her. The lady stood frozen in shock. She had been rejected too. She left the platform with as much dignity as she could manage, but her face showed fury. Chancellor Vornak was last. He stepped onto the platform and paused. He looked at Beiko for a long moment. Then he bowed, not as a ruler would to a subject, but as one equal to another. I do not claim to own you, Vornak said clearly. I do not claim the right to command you. I only ask if you believe I can serve our people well. Don. Beiko approached slowly. He circled Vornak, studying him. The Chancellor stood still, letting himself be examined. Beiko came close, sniffed him, looked into his eyes. Then the leopard sat down in front of him. Not acceptance, but consideration. Vornak nodded and stepped back, leaving the platform. The throne room erupted in confusion. The old official called for order. Beiko has not chosen any claimant. This has never happened before in our history. The ritual is invalid, General Thex Nor shouted. The human has corrupted the leopard. Beiko rejected you fairly, Chancellor Vornak called back. Accept it. I accept nothing. The leopard should be destroyed, if it will not choose. Lady Sylveth's voice was cold with rage. The argument escalated. Factions began shouting at each other. Guards moved to defensive positions. Taeyang felt Jiwoo grab his arm. Taeyang felt rabbiting too. Clearly, Taeyang felt Jiwoo. This is going wrong, she whispered. Then General Thex Nor made his move. He signaled to his soldiers. Armed troops began flooding into the throne room. I declare this ritual corrupted, he announced. By military authority, I am taking control of the Empire. And I am seizing the leopard. Nober Scripton. 18:6. Soldiers rushed toward Beiko. Taeyang ran forward without thinking. He put himself between the soldiers and the leopard. No! Move aside, human, a soldier commanded. The Empress gave him to me. You have no right. We have every right, General Thex Nor said, walking forward. You are nothing. A simple mechanic who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Beiko belongs to the Kryn people, not to you. Beiko growled, low and dangerous. The soldiers hesitated. Then chaos erupted. Chancellor Vornak's supporters fought with the general's troops. Lady Sylveth's faction tried to escape. Energy weapons fired. Crystal pillars shattered. Run! Haewon appeared beside them, grabbing Taeyang's other arm. This way. They fled through side corridors with Beiko running beside them. Behind them, Taeyang could hear the sounds of fighting spreading throughout the palace. The general had started a coup. The empire was tearing itself apart. Haewon led them through ancient passages deep into the palace structure. They ran until they reached a hidden door. Inside was a vast chamber, filled with old records and artifacts. Several Kryn scholars were already there, looking frightened. One of them, a young male with kind eyes, stepped forward. I am Do Hyun. We have been expecting you. The Empress told us you might need sanctuary. She knew this would happen? Taeyang asked, breathing hard. She knew everything, Do Hyun said quietly. Come. There is something you must see. Something that will explain why she chose you. He led them deeper into the archives, to a sealed chamber. Inside, crystal recordings waited. The Empress's private journals. Do Hyun activated them. And a hologram of the late Empress appeared. If you are seeing this, her recorded voice said, then the ritual has failed. Good. That means everything is going according to plan. Taeyang stared at the hologram in shock. Jiwoo whispered beside him. She planned this? All of it? The Empress's recorded image smiled. Now, let me tell you the real purpose of Beiko, and why I chose a simple human mechanic to change an empire. The hologram of the Empress stood before them, flickering with soft blue light. Her expression was calm, almost peaceful. Outside the archive chamber, they could hear distant sounds of fighting as the coup spread through the capital. My name was Velthara, the recording said, and I have been planning my death for 10 years. Taeyang sat down heavily. Beside him, Jiwoo held her tablet, recording everything. Beiko laid at Taeyang's feet, watching the hologram with those intelligent pink eyes. The Empress's image continued. I have ruled for 40 years. I have watched my empire grow strong and prosperous. But I have also watched it become rotten from within. We Kryn have forgotten what leadership truly means. We think it is about power, about domination, about blood and tradition. We have forgotten that a ruler's duty is to serve. Do Hyun stood nearby with the other scholars. They had clearly seen this recording before, but they still watched with reverent attention. I had no children, the Empress said. I had no worthy heirs. The nobles who would inherit my throne care only for personal power. The generals want conquest. The traditionalists want to freeze our culture in amber. She paused. So, I decided to force change. I decided to give the Empire a test. I decided to see if any of them could learn what real leadership requires. The hologram showed the Empress sitting with Baiko. The leopard in the recording looked younger, but just as magnificent. I spent years having Baiko enhanced. Not just physically, though he is strong and fast beyond natural limits. I enhanced his mind. He can read intent. He can sense character. He knows when someone views him as a tool versus treating him as a living being. He is the perfect test for leadership. Jiwoo looked at Taeyang. That's why he rejected them all, she whispered. They all wanted to use him, not respect him. The recording continued. But I needed someone to hold him, someone who would not be corrupted by politics, someone outside our system entirely. So I researched humans. Your species is young in the galaxy, still finding your place. But you have something we Kryn have lost. You have humility. You know how to serve without dominating. The Empress looked directly at the camera. I studied hundreds of humans across Kryn space. I needed someone skilled, intelligent, but most importantly, kind. Someone who would treat Baiko as a companion, not a symbol. I found several candidates. Taeyang was the best. Taeyang felt his face flush. She investigated me. I arranged for my ship to malfunction, the Empress admitted. I arranged for it to happen at your station. I waited to see how you would solve the problem. When you built that mechanical bypass, when you approached my impossible technology with simple tools and creative thinking, I knew I had chosen correctly. She smiled. Then I met you. I saw how you looked at Baiko, not with fear or calculation, but with respect. You saw him as a living creature. That sealed my decision. The hologram shifted, showing images of the three main claimants. General Thex Nor will try to seize power through force. He will fail. Lady Siliveth will claim blood. Right. She will fail. Chancellor Vornok has the best vision for the future, but he still thinks of leadership as control. He must learn that true power comes from serving others, from treating all beings with dignity. Du Hyun stepped forward. The Empress left detailed instructions. She knew the ritual would fail. She knew there would be a coup attempt. She predicted all of it. She was playing chess with her entire empire, Jiwoo said softly. The Empress's recording spoke again. Taeyang, if you are watching this, you are probably confused and scared. You are probably angry at me for putting you in this position. I am sorry, but I trust you to do what is right. Baiko will know when someone worthy appears. Until then, you must protect him. You must show the Empire what real leadership looks like. How am I supposed to do that? Taeyang asked the hologram. As if answering, the Empress said, You will know. You are human. You fix things that others say cannot be fixed. You find simple solutions to complex problems. Apply that gift. Here, my empire is broken. Fix it. The recording ended. The chamber fell silent except for the distant sounds of conflict. Taeyang stood up and paced. His mind raced. The Empress had manipulated everything. She had arranged her own death, probably by allowing the assassination to happen. She had turned him into a political pawn. She had started a civil war on purpose, but she had also trusted him. She believed he could handle this. What do we do? Jiwoo asked. Taeyang looked at Baiko. The leopard watched him calmly. Then he looked at the scholars. Du Hyun, can we broadcast from here? Can we reach the entire empire? Yes. The palace has communication arrays. We can access them. Good. Taeyang's mind was working now, approaching this like he would approach a broken machine. The empire was broken. The leadership selection system was broken. The whole culture was broken. You could not fix something that fundamentally flawed. You had to rebuild it. He spent the next hour working with Jiwoo and the scholars. They prepared a message. They found footage from the ritual showing all 3 claimants being rejected. They included the Empress's recording. They built a complete picture. Then Taeyang stood before the camera. Baekho sat beside him. He was just a mechanic, wearing work clothes that were still stained with grease. He had not prepared any fancy speech. He just spoke the truth. My name is Taeyang. I am a human mechanic. Your Empress gave me Baekho and asked me to help fix something broken. Your succession system is broken. Your idea of leadership is broken. The Empress knew this. She set all of this up to force you to see it. He gestured to Baekho. This leopard rejected all 3 claimants. Do you know why? Because they all wanted to use him. They saw him as a tool, a symbol, a way to claim power. None of them treated him as a living being worthy of respect. None of them understood that leadership is not about taking power. It is about earning trust. Taeyang felt the weight of what he was saying. This was broadcasting across the entire empire. Billions were watching. The Empress left a challenge. She wanted someone to prove themselves worthy by demonstrating real leadership. Not through violence or blood claims or political maneuvering. Through service. Through compassion. Through treating others with dignity. He paused. I am not choosing your ruler. Baekho will choose when someone proves they understand this. Until then, I am calling on all factions to stop fighting. Anyone who wants to lead should show it by helping their people, not by hurting them. General Thexnor. Your military coup is making things worse. Lady Sylveth, your blood claim means nothing if you cannot earn respect. Chancellor Vornak, your reforms are good, but you still need to learn what the Empress wanted to teach. Jiwoo stood behind the camera, giving him a thumbs up. He was doing well. I am going to travel across your empire, Taeyang said. I am going to war zones and refugee camps. I am going to places where your people are suffering. And I am bringing Baekho with me. Any of you who claim to be worthy leaders should come too. Show me. Show your people. Show Baekho. Prove that you can serve instead of just command. He looked directly into the camera. The Empress believed you could be better. She believed her people deserved better. She died to give you this chance. Do not waste it. The broadcast ended. Do Hyun looked shaken. You just challenged the entire power structure of the empire. Lons. Do Hyun looked ding. I know, Taeyang said. That was the idea. They might kill you for this, Haewon warned. Maybe. But the Empress asked me to fix what was broken. This is how you do it. You do not repair something by being gentle. Sometimes you have to take it apart and rebuild it from the foundation. Jiwoo smiled. Very human approach. It's the only approach I know. Within hours, responses came flooding in. General Thex Nor declared Taeyang an enemy of the state and intensified his coup. Lady Sylveth withdrew to her estates, saying she would consider his words. But Chancellor Vornak did something unexpected. He publicly accepted the challenge. He announced he would join Taeyang in visiting the suffering areas of the empire. He would prove himself through action, not words. Interesting, Jiwoo said, reading the responses. Vornak gets it. Or at least he is smart enough to play along. We will see, Taeyang said, looking at Baekho. Won't we? The leopard's pink eyes seemed to hold approval. They prepared to leave the palace. The coup was still raging, but Do Hyun knew secret ways out. As they gathered their things, Taeyang felt scared, but also determined. The Empress had given him an impossible task. But impossible problems were what he specialized in. He was going to fix this empire. One simple solution at a time. The transport ship flew low over the contested territories. Taeyang pressed against the window, looking down at cities torn apart by fighting. Smoke rose from burning buildings. Refugee camps spread across fields that should have held crops. This was what the succession crisis had created. Chaos and suffering. While the powerful fought for a throne, we are approaching the medical zone. the pilot announced. General Thexnor's forces control the north side. Lady Sylveth's militia holds the south. The center is neutral ground. Barely. Ji-woo sat beside Tae-yang, reviewing reports on her tablet. 3,000 wounded waiting for treatment. Not enough supplies. Not enough doctors. Both factions are blocking aid shipments to pressure the other side. Baekho laid on the floor, calm but alert. The Leopard had been like this for the 3 weeks since Tae-yang's broadcast. Watchful. Waiting. Chancellor Vornak had joined them 2 days after they left the palace. He had arrived with minimal guards and genuine determination. "You were right," he had told Tae-yang. "I have been playing politics while people suffer. Show me how to be better." Since then, they had traveled to 6 crisis zones. At each one, Tae-yang did what he did best. He fixed things. Broken medical equipment, damaged water systems, failing power generators, simple mechanical problems that had been ignored while leaders fought over power. Ji-woo coordinated with locals to distribute supplies. Vornak used his political influence to negotiate temporary ceasefires for aid delivery. And slowly, people noticed. News spread. The human mechanic and the reformist chancellor were actually helping. They were serving, instead of just making promises. The ship landed in the medical zone. The facility was overwhelmed. Wounded Kryn laid on every surface, groaning in pain. Doctors moved between them. Exhausted and desperate. Medical equipment beeped warnings of failing systems. Tae-yang walked through the chaos with Baekho beside him. The Leopard drew stairs. But Tae-yang was used to that now. He found the head doctor, an older Kryn woman with silver hair streaked with blue. "I'm Tae-yang. I'm here to help." She looked at him with tired eyes. "You are the human with the Empress's leopard. I know who you are. Can you perform surgery? Because that is what we need." "No. But I can fix your equipment. I see 3 machines that are broken. I can repair them in an hour." "That would save lives," she admitted. "Do it." Tae-yang got to work. Ji-woo helped, passing him tools and holding components, while he rewired circuits and replaced broken parts. Vornak surprised them by helping too. He carried supplies, moved equipment, and spoke with the wounded. He did not give speeches. He just worked. Outside, military vehicles approached. General Thexnor had heard about their presence. He arrived with 50 armed soldiers, armor gleaming in the harsh sun. "You are in a restricted zone," the general announced. "Leave immediately." Tae-yang did not stop working on the medical scanner. "I'm fixing equipment so doctors can save lives. I'll leave when I'm done." "You dare refuse me?" Thexnor stepped closer, hand on his weapon. "I control this territory. My word is law here. Your word does not fix broken machines," Tae-yang said. He finished the repair and moved to the next device. "Your territory has wounded soldiers who need treatment. I'm helping them. You can either assist or get out of my way." The general's face darkened with rage. "I should kill you where you stand," Baekho growled. The sound cut through all other noise. The Leopard stood up slowly, placing himself between Tae-yang and the general. Every muscle was coiled, ready. The soldiers aimed their weapons, but no one fired. Everyone remembered what had happened to the assassins on the station. Chancellor Vornak approached, hands raised peacefully. "General, look around. Look at what is happening here. We are helping your wounded soldiers. We are saving Kryn lives. Is that not what a leader should do?" "Do not lecture me about leadership," Thexnor snapped. "I have commanded armies. I have conquered systems. What have you done? Today?" Vornak said quietly. "Today I carried wounded soldiers to treatment beds. I held the hand of a dying woman and told her she mattered. I cleaned blood from floors." He met the general's eyes. "What did you do today?" The general had no answer. He stood there, rigid with fury. But slowly his hand moved away from his weapon. "This is not over," he said finally. Then he turned and left with his soldiers. The head doctor approached Tae Yang. "Thank you. Not just for the repairs, for standing up to him. We have been afraid for so long. Fear should not stop you from helping people," Tae Yang said. They worked through the day and into the night. By morning, the medical facility was functioning better than it had in months. Dozens of lives had been saved. And word spread further. Over the next 2 weeks, they continued their journey. More crisis zones. More repairs. More actual work instead of political posturing. And everywhere they went, Tae Yang watched Vornak. The Chancellor was changing. He was learning. At the 4th site, Lady Sylveth appeared. She arrived in an elegant transport, wearing formal robes. She watched them work for a day without saying anything. Then, she approached Tae Yang. "I have been thinking about your broadcast," she said, "about what the Empress wanted. I believed my bloodline made me worthy. I see now that I was wrong. What will you do?" Tae Yang asked. "I am withdrawing my claim. I will support whichever leader Baiko chooses." She looked at the leopard. "I loved my aunt. If this is what she wanted, I will honor it." She left that same day. One claimant down. General Thexnor continued his military coup, but support was crumbling. Too many people had seen Tae Yang and Vornak actually helping. Too many had received aid while the general just demanded obedience. His own soldiers were starting to question. Then came the critical moment. They arrived at a refugee camp near the border of contested space. Thousands of civilians displaced by the fighting. Children crying. Parents desperate. A humanitarian crisis that all factions had ignored. Both General Thexnor and Chancellor Vornak arrived at the same time. Their forces faced each other across the camp. Weapons ready. One wrong move, and the fighting would start again. Right here among civilians. Tae Yang walked between the two armies with Baiko beside him. He was terrified but kept walking. "Stop," he called. "Look where you are. Look who will be hurt if you fight here." "They started this," Thexnor said, gesturing to Vornak's forces. "We only came to deliver supplies," Vornak replied. "Then deliver them together," Tae Yang said. "Show these people that Kryn leaders can work together. Show them that their lives matter more than your pride." The general sneered. "I do not take orders from a human mechanic. Then take wisdom from the situation," Vornak said. He stepped forward, past his own soldiers, approaching the general. "We both claim to care about the Kryn people. Prove it. Help me distribute supplies. For one day, put aside our conflict. For them." He gestured to the refugees. Thexnor looked at the civilians. Children stared at him with wide eyes. An old Kryn woman held a baby, both thin from hunger. For a long moment, the general stood frozen. Then something in his face cracked. "One day," he said roughly. "We work together for one day. Then we resume the conflict." "Agreed," Vornak said. They worked together. It was awkward, tense, but they did it. Soldiers from both sides distributed food and medicine. General Thexnor carried supply crates alongside Vornak's people. The Chancellor coordinated with the general's staff to organize shelter repairs. And Baiko watched. The leopard observed everything with those intelligent pink eyes. When the sun set, Tae Yang was exhausted. He sat on a supply crate, watching the camp. For the first time in weeks, he felt something like hope. Maybe this could actually work. Jiwoo sat beside him. "Vornak has changed. Did you see him today?" "I saw," Tae Yang said. "He didn't just organize. He got his hands dirty. He talked to people like they mattered, and the general actually helped, instead of just commanding. One day is not enough to change everything," Tae Yang said. "But it's a start." That night, something happened. Baiko walked through the camp, and people watched him. The legendary leopard of the Empress. Children approached cautiously. Baiko let them touch his fur, gentle with their small hands. Adults bowed respectfully. The leopard moved through the crowd like he was blessing them. Then Baiko approached Chancellor Vornak. The Chancellor was sitting by a fire, tired from the day's work. He looked up in surprise as the leopard came close. Vornak did not reach out. He did not try to claim or control. He simply said, "Hello, Beko. Thank you for being patient with me." The leopard sat down beside him. Then, slowly, Beko placed his head on Vornak's knee. The gesture was small but unmistakable. Acceptance. Taeyang felt his chest tighten. Jiwoo grabbed his arm. Around them, people began to notice. Whispers spread through the camp. General Thexnor saw it from across the fire. His face went through many emotions. Anger, disbelief, and finally, something like resignation. He stood up, walked over, and looked down at Beko and Vornak. "The leopard has chosen," he said heavily. "I may not like it. I may not agree. But I will honor the Empress's will." He looked at Vornak. "Rule well, Chancellor, or I will oppose you through legal means." It was not a warm endorsement, but it was acceptance. The general turned and walked away. His soldiers followed. Vornak looked at Taeyang with wide eyes. "I did not expect this." "Neither did I," Taeyang admitted. "But Beko knows character. The Empress engineered him to know. You earned this. What do I do now? You go to the capital. You take the throne. And you remember everything you learned traveling with us." Taeyang looked at the leopard. "And you take Beko with you. He is yours now. Treat him well." Over the next weeks, things moved quickly. Vornak was coronated as the new emperor. The coup collapsed. Lady Sylveth became his chief advisor. Even General Thexnor swore loyalty, though grudgingly. The new emperor announced reforms: better treatment for all species in the empire, an end to unnecessary conquest, investment in infrastructure instead of just military, and he created a new position: Imperial Keeper of Service. Its job was to actually help people, to fix problems, instead of just talking about them. He offered the position to Taeyang. They stood in the palace throne room. Beko sat beside the emperor's throne, looking content. Vornak wore the imperial crown, but still moved like he wanted to work with his hands. "I'm honored," Taeyang said, "but I'm going home. I have a shop. I have repairs waiting." "I thought you would say that," Vornak said, smiling. "Very human. You change an empire, and then go back to fixing ships. That's what I'm good at. Then I offer something else. An alliance between the Kryn Empire and humanity. Full partnership, equal trade, mutual respect." Taeyang looked at Ambassador Haewon, who stood nearby. She nodded, pleased. This was huge for humanity. "I accept on behalf of my people," Taeyang said. "And I'm going to hold you to that respect part. I would expect nothing less." Taeyang said goodbye to Beko. The leopard pressed his head against Taeyang's hand one last time. "Take care of him," Taeyang told the emperor. "He's special." Taeyang. Taeyang. I know. The Empress knew it too. She was right about everything. The journey home took a week. Taeyang and Jiwoo traveled back to Kepler 442 station. When they arrived, nothing had changed. The lower levels were still grimy. The air still smelled like recycled oxygen and engine oil. The station continued its busy life, but everything had changed too. Humans walked with more confidence. Other species showed more respect. The galaxy had learned something important. Never underestimate a human who knows how to fix things. Taeyang opened his shop. There was a ship waiting for repair. Just like before. He picked up his tools and smiled. This was what he was meant to do. Jiwoo had her own shop now, 3 doors down. She visited every day to share news and stories. Haewon sent messages from the capital, updating them on reforms and changes. 6 months later, Taeyang received a package from the emperor. Inside was a letter and a small statue of Beko, carved from crystal. The letter was simple. Thank you for teaching me that leadership is service. I will never forget. The Empress was wise to choose you. May your tools always be sharp, and your solutions always simple. Emperor Fornik. Taeyong placed the statue on his workbench. He looked at it for a moment, remembering everything. The albino leopard. The Empress's plan. The journey across an empire. The changes they had made. Then he turned back to the ship he was repairing. There was a tricky problem with the cooling system. Nothing impossible. Just another thing that needed fixing. And that was exactly what Taeyong was best at. Fixing things. One simple solution at a time.